Hey guys, grab your favorite mug and join me for my new podcast, Chemo and Coffee. My name is Hayley, and today we're exploring life one sip at a time as I start to share my cancer journey. Expect some real talk, a little bit of laughter, and a whole lot of positivity. Hi, welcome to my new podcast. My name's Hayley, and this is called Chemo and Coffee. I can't believe I'm making this because I wasn't even going to tell everyone that I had cancer. So if you didn't know, you know now. It's chill. I got a vanilla ice latte with me today. I'm meant to lose my taste buds, haven't yet. So she's going to be having flavoured yummy coffees until then. Also, it had to be iced today because, oh my gosh, it's so hot. It's 35 degrees. Wild. Hot coffee was not happening. That was the plan, but I woke up and I was like, no way. Anyways, I'll do a little introduction. So obviously my name's Hayley. Outside of this, I had just finished studying marketing. I'm a dancer. I currently work at a gym, which I love. Very outgoing. Love chatting shit. So this is great. This is just going to be like we're having a conversation, honestly, and probably going to be very rough. Cheeky little D&M about my life. In December, I was diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's B-cell lymphoma. Wild. Obviously, a little bit not expected, but I have a mad diagnosis story, and that's why I'm here today. So I'm going to be discussing all things that. Then I'll kind of break it up because I love to chat. So then the next episode will be like my first round of chemo, etc. So this one is I'll just kind of be telling you how I even got diagnosed in the first place. Wild. So yeah, I think we should just get into it. So let's start. My symptoms were started off just dizzy. Now I have epilepsy, so double whammy, I know. I felt dizzy like my whole life. I've had that since I was 12. So dizziness is not a new thing to me. I'm also someone that's so if I get something, I'm like, oh, she'll be right. I don't always go to the doctors. I'm very blasé. The complete opposite to a hypochondriac. Let's just lay that out there. Also hate hospitals, so I like to stay away from them as much as possible. And I would literally rather go to the doctor a million times than have to go to the hospital once. Anyways, so started off with dizziness, but like I said, so normal to me. So I didn't really think much of it. But then it started getting really, really bad. I thought it was just because I didn't eat before I trained at the gym. But then it happened after I very well ate and had a lot of fluids. So I was like, it's not this. I was like, I probably should go get that checked. So I was going to go to the doctors anyways to get bloods because I could have been low in iron like every other girl. Very common. But yeah, anyways, so started getting dizzy, and then I was at the gym on a Sunday afternoon, which is odd for me. So I was doing lateral raises and then, shortness of breath kind of comes with the cancer. I was doing lateral raises and then I just couldn't breathe, and then I started getting really dizzy, and I was like, this is weird. And then Andre, my boyfriend, he came up to me and he was like, you okay? I'm like, not really. And he saw my neck. He was like, your neck's inflamed. And I was like, that's weird. He got onto it straight away. No one else did. Anyways, so, and then my friend was like, I think you're having a panic attack, because I've never had one, so I wouldn't know. I honestly wouldn't. So I was just like, all right, guess I'm having a panic attack. Symptoms checked out. So then just took it easy for the rest of the day. And then I woke up Monday, symptoms were still there because I bent over to pick something up. And I was like, oh, okay. I don't think this is a panic attack. It's the next day. And I couldn't pick anything up. I couldn't push anything. I couldn't exert any energy. Otherwise, I felt like I was getting strangled and I felt really, really dizzy. So it's circulation thing. Anyway, so then I went to the doctor and I was like, what's going on? This is weird. She had absolutely no idea and told me that if I fainted to go to the hospital, and then she sent me to go get like normal bloods, which is what I wanted to do anyways because of the dizziness. So went and got them done. I think bloods came back perfect because this was also the issue with this whole time. My bloods were perfect the whole time. Anyways, and then that went through that week. The pain then moved to my ears. Weird. So like I started just getting a lot of pain in my ears. Still dizziness. So instead of like my neck, it was my ears, both sides. And then Friday morning, I woke up with a really swollen face at my boyfriend's house, and I went to his mum and she was like, it looks like you're having like an allergic reaction because obviously facial swelling. So she gave me antihistamine, took it, didn't really do anything. So I was like, all right, I need to go to the doctor. This is weird. So I went to the doctor. I did a walk-in. So just a random GP, but at the same doctor's office. He had no idea and he told me to go to the hospital. So I had already had people telling me that morning that I should go, but I will literally do anything other than go to the hospital. I will go anywhere before I have to go there. Like, that is my last resort. I hate it. So I went because I was like, well, if this guy has no idea, and that's the second doctor that's told me that they have no idea what's wrong with me, I'll go to the hospital. So I went and I was in the waiting room and went and saw the triage nurse, whatever, sat. Then I went and saw someone and they were fixated. That day they were fixated on my heart. They were like, we think it's a heart issue. I do have heart history in my family, and my heart rate has been quite high, still is, like 140 high. Anyway, so they thought it was my heart, but then at the end they brought me back in. Head of department rocked up and I was like, oh, hi. And he basically said, to shorten it all, that my GP should have never sent me there. I should never go back. And the doctor was like, we can clearly see there is an issue, but no offense, we look after people that aren't going to, might not make it to the next day, that are dying. And that he said it'll probably just turn into a chest infection. So I got told to never go back again, and I should never go back. Like, I was treated like a hypochondriac, and I was just sitting there like, oh, okay, like, so sorry, like, I just got told to come here, like, I don't know. And so yeah, chick was sitting in your waiting room with cancer and you told her to never go back. Wow. Anyways, so he was like, there's no point you wasting your Friday afternoon sitting here when we can do nothing for you. I was like, okay. Off I went. I don't even think they gave me anything. Like, they literally did nothing for me. I left. I have my iPad here with me just to make sure I don't forget anything because there's a lot. All right. That was Friday. So then I had a wedding the next day. So fun. Loved it. And it was in Sydney and we stayed in Sydney. So then I woke up Sunday morning in our hotel room. My face was triple the size. Oh my gosh. Like, I woke up and I was like, no. Obviously, I was crying. I was like, what is wrong with me? What's happening to me? Went out to Andre. I was like, I need to go to the doctor right now. Like, it's a Sunday, but yeah, he was like, yeah, you need to go. So we got in the car, started driving home. We were meant to go out for breakfast with our friends that morning. And I was like, I'm so sorry, I can't. Like, I need to go to the doctor right now. But also I probably still would have gone. Anyways, so drove back to the coast, booked an appointment with a different doctor because mine was closed. And went in. He was the first person that actually had an idea. And he said it was allergies. Which, like, facial swelling, couldn't breathe. No, could I breathe then? No, I still had breathing then. Dizziness, I don't know. But that day we figured out my heart rate was really high. Like, it was 140 and I had just sat in a car coming home from Sydney. So my resting heart rate was 140. And he was like, yeah, that's not it. And Andre was like, what the heck? Anyways, he put me on steroids. So when I started taking them, he was like, your face should be down in a few days. All good, no stress, we fixed it. And I was like, hooray, thank God. And then I already had a doctor's appointment booked the next day. And I was like, I'll just keep it anyways, just to see like what she says. Because she is my normal doctor. Because obviously it was getting worse. And also since the hospital gave me no answer whatsoever, I was like, I'm going. Anyways, so then I went to her the next day. She diagnosed me with angioedema and then said I needed to see an immunologist. And then she said that she didn't want to send me for a CT scan because she didn't want me to get cancer in 15 years. Okay. So that was the first time cancer was brought up, but had no like indication towards me. It was, I'm not going to do this because I don't want you to get it. And I already had it. Anyways, they didn't know that. So, I now had this thing called angioedema. I had no tests to be diagnosed with that. She just saw my face and was like, yeah. I think she also sent me for more bloods that day, maybe. Anyways, so yeah, that was basically it. Oh, she said I need to see an immunologist and they can take months to get into, which like she was pretty correct. Like the Central Coast one didn't honestly want to see me, which valid. He bloody knew that it wasn't allergies. He even said, he was like, I don't know what it is, but I don't think it's allergies, like later on. And I managed to get into a Newcastle one. But that was on the 20th of December and this was like early November. So it was still weeks. I had to wait to see them. And, anyway, so that happened. And then one day I could barely breathe. Like I was struggling to breathe. So I was like, all right, let's go to the hospital because I was waiting for weeks. I knew it wasn't allergies. I went and saw a naturopath because I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I don't think it's allergies. Like I just knew. I had a gut feeling and I knew it was a circulation issue because like I would go to bed and I would have to stay elevated. I couldn't lay down flat because of my face, like the puffiness, and it would just get way worse. I would have to like sit up, stay seating for a few minutes before I could even go to stand up because otherwise I'd feel dizzy and like I was going to faint. I think I almost threw up one day. Like it was like so clear it was a circulation issue, but no one wanted to listen to me. But anyways, I went to the hospital because I couldn't breathe. So back to the waiting room I went. It's my second hospital visit. First doctor saw me. He was like, you don't have angioedema because angioedema is a very hard thing to diagnose. And the fact she kind of just like looked at you and was like, yeah, you don't have it. So, all right. He's like, but I also don't know what you have. I was like, so I'm right back to being undiagnosed. Cool. And then I had a different doctor. He came in and dealt with me. Poor guy. He tried his best. He really did. He was contacting people from different hospitals. He had no idea. And then he came out and said to me in the waiting room, like, I don't know. He upped my antihistamine, so like upped my meds, told me to keep taking steroids. And my mum said, like, can we go get her a scan? Like, why is no one sending her for a scan? Can we do it privately? And he was like, oh, I don't really want her to get a CT scan because I don't want her to get cancer in 15 years. And he's like, I don't want to be the reason she gets cancer. You're the reason. Anyways. So we're like, all right, whatever. We don't know. We're not doctors. So we left, got me on some new antihistamines, and then just went on and was waiting for my immunologist appointment because we got told that's all we could do. And I was not getting better. Like my face was swollen for weeks. That's not an allergic reaction. Like I had to sleep in a different bed because he was like, oh, it could be like your bed sheets. It could be something that you're living around that's giving you a constant allergic reaction. Like it was weird. It was weird. Anyways, still couldn't lay straight. I couldn't lay on my side. I had to sleep sitting up, essentially. It was wild. Anyways, Tuesday morning at 2 a.m, I fainted because I got up to go to the bathroom and like I felt really, really dizzy, but I've never fainted before. I've just felt really dizzy. So I just pushed through it. Like I just grabbed onto things and like, whoa, whacked my head on the double doors and like slammed on the tiles. And luckily Andre stayed at my house that night and he woke up obviously because it was a loud ass bang. And I was just like, Andre, I just fainted, and went to the hospital. I was like, I'm going to the emergency room because this is not allergies. No. So then we sat in that emergency room for 7.5 hours. Which is wild to me, like someone fainting and just, anyways, whatever. I'm not in the emergency room. I don't know how it works. So we sat there for 7.5 hours. Couldn't get a coffee until later because that cafe needs to open earlier. I'm going to start a petition. Anyways, we finally got seen by a doctor and he actually moved here from South Africa a week before, so bless him. And he was the first one that actually looked at my neck. I brought up my neck to so many doctors and they felt it, but because it didn't hurt, they were like, oh, it's nothing. Like, and the thing is, like, my face was really swollen, but I didn't look deformed. So if you had never met me before, I would look normal. I would just look like a fat human. But then I would show them photos of what I usually look like. And they were like, holy shit, like, yeah, there's an issue here. But they just didn't focus on it. Not one even thought to send me for an ultrasound. Like, there was nothing. It was weird. They were just so fixated on allergies. And I think, like, I found out, like, my age also threw them off because you don't really expect someone with my age to have this. Anyways, he then said, you need to go for an ultrasound. He thought it was my thyroid. But I couldn't get it in the hospital because there was like this massive lineup and it would have taken forever. So, and I was already there in the waiting room for a long time. So, he sent me to PRP. PRP have been great, by the way. So I went and got ultrasound. They scanned it. They obviously saw something was there. They didn't tell me, but they were like, we need to get a referral from your doctor because we want you to get a CT scan. So there's my CT. And I was like, yep, that's totally fine. They had to inject the yucky dye into me. I don't like it. It makes you feel like you wet yourself. Anyways, did that. Then the doctor came out and was like, we found a large mass in your chest. We don't know what it is and we won't know. Like, we won't know how to treat it unless we get a biopsy on it. So then they booked me in for the next morning because this was in the afternoon. They booked me in for the next morning at 10 a.m. to get a biopsy. So, like, they were amazing. Like, they were onto it. So went in, got the biopsy. Trauma, by the way. Oh my gosh. Like, seeing like needles getting stabbed into my neck. Wild. So yeah, they did local anesthetic. They got heaps. Like, they did a more in-depth one than they usually do because they were like, we don't want you to have to go through this again. And they were like, we couldn't have even done this at your age. Like, it's mental. So I got a lot of props for that. But I also was like, what other choice do I have? Like, I need to get fixed. Look at me. Anyway, so they took a lot of samples, but they were amazing. And then had the next day to just chill. My neck hurt. And then the Friday morning I had booked in with another GP, which is now my GP. He's great. Can't say more good things. But he came in early for us. Like, our appointment was at 7:45. And we booked the appointment initially just for like him to figure out what was wrong with me because like before I even got all of these tests, I booked it like the week before, I think. So he didn't know that I was going for all these tests. He had no idea. And my doctor was on holiday because this was around Christmas. So she wasn't even in office for any of this. She had no idea what was going on, which is wild. So Mum and I went in and he was like, what can I do for you? I'm like, well, I've gotten all these scans and tests and biopsies. Like, I want to know the results. Poor guy had to tell me I had cancer the first time he met me. Wild. And yeah, so he was just like, yeah, lymphoma, it's a type of cancer. Got to go through chemo. It was like, the first thing I said to Mum, I was like, hey, I'm in cancer with cancer because my star sign's cancer. I didn't break down. I didn't, like, there was none of the, oh my God, I have cancer. Like, obviously I was a bit like, because the doctor told me that it wasn't going to be, I forgot, sorry. Bless the South African doctor. See, this is why I need my iPad. The South African doctor, he was amazing. He got onto it, but he did one thing he probably shouldn't have. He said, look, I don't want to stress you out. He's like, it could be nothing. He's like, I don't think it's cancer because it would have shown up in your bloods, and nothing's shown up in your bloods. Side note, I have the one cancer that doesn't show up in your bloods. So yeah, he did say that to me. He probably shouldn't have, but hey, he was the only one that figured it out. Like, if I didn't faint that day and saw him, I probably would have still been at home thinking it was allergies for the longest time. Like, it's just, you just don't know. So yeah. So I was like, oh, I got told it wasn't, anyways, whatever. Then we left and he was like, hopefully we can get you into a hematologist next week because we need to get this going, obviously. But I left, went and got bloods, and I got a call and I was seeing one that afternoon at 4 p.m. So like they were amazing. They fit me in. Like I was an add-on. She definitely didn't just have a spot for me or like a cancellation. So I went in at 4 p.m. with my mum and my boyfriend because Andre's very good at picking up details. Mum's there for support. We went in and she told me that I had non-Hodgkin's B-cell lymphoma, which is better than Hodgkin's. So I had the better kind, but I had a very severe version of what I had. Also because I think it was left for so long, obviously. It was very large. So she was like, we need to get on it now. She was like, I want you in chemo like next Thursday. And to get all these tests, I had to get a heart scan. I had to get a PET scan. I had to get all of these things done in literally like the few days before I went into hospital. She was like, I'm aiming for Thursday to start Friday morning. So she kind of told me everything, told me I was going to lose my hair, which I'm bald now, obviously, and I have a wig, but I did have like this color hair and I had extensions and it was beautiful. My hair is a very big part of my personality. And she said as soon as I walked in, she looked at me and she was like, shit. And I was going to lose my taste buds, but still have them. So that's a win. Also still have my eyebrows and my eyelashes. So stay tuned for them to go. So I got diagnosed. But you know what? I didn't see any negatives because what I saw, and this is how I think I've stayed so positive like this whole time, I got a diagnosis. I'm going to be 100%, like she said, like you have this, but it's 100% curable and you're going to be okay. So I was like, what negative is there? I got diagnosed. I'm going to get treatment. I'm going to be okay. Like there's no negatives. Like the negative was already that my face was puffy. Like I'd already gone through that. So like all of this was just positives to me. So I was like, sweet. Like all I was hearing was I'm going to be okay. And then this is what we're going to do. So I was like, bet, let's go. So there was no negatives. Obviously, Mum was like, oh my God, my daughter has cancer. All of that fun stuff. You don't want your kid to have that. But yeah, like I honestly didn't, like I told my friends that day when I found out and I put in the group chat, I was like, great news, guys. I'm not allergic to anything. They're like, whoa. And I was like, I just have cancer. They hate me, I think. Anyways. Then I started steroids that night. Had the weekend to kind of chill. My friends came over. We were meant to have our work Christmas party the next day, but they came to my house instead. Bless them. I have the best support network. Like this experience has just shown me that I have the best people in my life. It's just wild. And support network is everything, especially through these kind of things. But it showed me like people cared that I didn't not that they wouldn't care, but like they came and saw me and like they brought me something. I just didn't think, I was quite shocked. It was a nice surprise. This experience has definitely shown me how loved I am and how lucky I am to have so many people in my life that are just great. I have a great circle. So they came over and then the next day, because my doctor said if I get any worse to go to the hospital, they might keep me there. So the next day, I was struggling to breathe a lot more. Like I went down to Terrigal for breakfast and I could barely walk. It was quite bad, but I kind of was just like, oh, whatever. Then I went home and then along here, my neck, it started discoloring and I really couldn't breathe. And I just said, I was like, I need to go to the hospital, I think. Like this, I don't want to mess with it. Now that I know what's wrong, like I would have usually just sat home and been like, oh, she'll be right. But I'm like, now that I know I have cancer, she said if I got any worse to go to hospital, I don't want to mess with it. I don't want to be stupid. So I called the ambulance because I was like stressing. And also like I wanted to call them just to even like be like, should I even go to the hospital? Like, or should I just not, like I just didn't know. I'm a 24-year-old girl, like I just got diagnosed with cancer. Okay. Anyways, so, cough break. The ambulance people came. Honestly, the rudest ambulance ladies I've ever experienced. Like, that this was also like, well, I was being treated so much like a hypochondriac this whole time. And then even when I got diagnosed with cancer, I was still getting treated like I was wasting someone's time. Like, I think when you're young, like you're treated so differently. And like, even like my dad even said that she treated me like shit. It wasn't just me that was overthinking. Like, he was there. He was like, no, that you didn't get treated well at all. So like, they came in and I, told them all my symptoms, everything. I was like, I can't breathe. Like, should I go to the hospital? They're like, no, we'll take you, all good. And then in the ambulance, she was just like, and I literally said to her, I was like, I'm sorry if I'm wasting your time, but I just got diagnosed with cancer 2 days ago. Like, she was like, oh, it's been like really quick few days for you. I'm like, yeah, it's been crazy, crazy past 24 hours. And she was like, what are you on? Kind of told her all my meds. And then I was like, oh, I'm also on these as well. And she was like, I just asked you that. I'm like, I got put on them 2 days ago. Like, she was like very, like, kind of talking down to me, like, treating me not very nicely. And I'm just like, I'm sorry if I'm wasting your time. I just got diagnosed with this. I don't want to mess with it. And she was like, no, it's fine. Like, I've never been treated like that, okay? Anyway, so I went to the hospital and I said to the other girl as well when she was waiting with me, I'm like, again, like, I'm sorry, because that's how I feel. And she was like, no, you did the right thing. Like, it was honestly just that one chick that was in the back with me that was a right cow. Anyways, so I was there. They did my bloods that I was meant to do the next day anyways. I was kept until like 8 o'clock at night. They did a CT scan on me. They did a few scans just to make sure I wasn't like blood clotting or anything like that. But they sent me home, so they didn't take me, which was great. So then the next day I had to go for my heart scan, which I thought was going to be the easiest scan of all. No, it was like the hardest. I had to get injected with 3 things, and then I just said, it wasn't hard, but like the longest, the most annoying. I got injected 3 times with a fluid, a dye or something, and a lot of saline. Guys, I hate saline. You can taste it. I'm not crazy. I'm telling you, you can taste the saline. Anyway, so then I had to sit in that scanner for like an hour. It took forever. And the heart scan was only because like the chemo can affect your heart. So they just wanted to get a scan of what my heart looked like before and then after to make sure that nothing happened. So I got the heart scan before. And then the next day I got my PET scan, which is where they inject radiation into you. But it's only the amount of radiation you would come across naturally in 3 years. So I got that done. And then you have to like stay away from people for like 4 hours after. It's a bit wild, but then it's just treated like a CT scan. Like, you're actually on the scanner for 15 minutes. But you're in a room getting injected with radiation. You have to sit in there for 45 minutes by yourself, like isolating, which is wild, but it's just like through a cannula. It doesn't hurt. So that was chill. And so I have to get another one actually in a few weeks after my 3rd chemo, because you get one to start halfway at the end, just see, because that's what tracks the cancer and all that fun stuff. So got that done, and then the next day I got a call from the women's baby doctors from the Royal North Shore. So this was also like a major decision that I had to make. Because if I'm going to be real with you guys, like, chemo does affect a woman's eggs and cycle. So I had to make a decision if I wanted to do any preventative options. At the start, I was very much for that. Like, I wanted to, because I want kids. But because I was so rushed, like, I got diagnosed Friday, I was in chemo Thursday. That's not much time. Definitely not enough time to freeze eggs. So that wasn't even an option for me. My only option was that there was this injectable implant that I'd have to get every month that would force me into menopause. And when you get forced into menopause young, you go through the symptoms way worse. They're very severe. And it basically kind of turns off my whole system. She said it works for some people, doesn't for some. It's up to you if you want to do it. And I was like, there's really no negatives. Sorry, there's no positives in that. I was like, all I'm hearing is like negatives. And also I know a lot of people that have had this cancer and they were able to have kids easy, like fall pregnant, no issues. So I was like, my odds are pretty in my favor to be able to have kids after this. I would rather just put up with what I'm going to have to go through with chemo first before, and then other than having to have menopause on top, I don't think so. And I would have had to freeze my eggs anyways after. So I'm like, there's no point. So I said no. It was a hard decision, but I said no. And there's so many options to have kids nowadays. And I'm like, I got to save myself right now, not future Hayley. So that was a decision I had to make. So there was just like, it was very quick, and a lot of decisions had to be made very quickly. Not a lot of time to be able to sit down and actually process what was going on. But honestly, I kind of liked that because I couldn't overthink. I couldn't sit there and be like, oh shit, even though I never really have, and I haven't since. I don't know. I'm dealing with this very well. Anyways, so got all those scans and then had my hematologist appointment on Wednesday afternoon. I also called my GP as well, like for his opinion on the whole baby thing as well. It was like, am I stupid? And he was like, no, I think you're making the right decision. So I also had a medical opinion behind me, which was good. But yeah, anyways, had my hematologist appointment to sign my life away, basically like her saying everything that's going to happen to me, all the side effects, even death. I had to sign a death waiver, and I was just chilling. Also found out that day that I was stage 3, and it was worse than they thought. So I was stage 3. Pretty bad, but that's okay. Like she said, she was like, you are stage 3, there's more cancer than I thought, but because it also was spreaded, but she said it doesn't change the way she was going to treat me. So she's like, I'm not that bothered. So I'm like, if I hear from a doctor that they're not that bothered by it, then why would I be? You know, like my mum started crying because she was like, stage 3, but I was like, no, like she said I was going to be fine. It made no difference. So it's not like she was like, we're going to have to change everything, blah blah blah. You know, like it wasn't that bad. It's chill. And I think I was very positive throughout this whole course of action. And I think my hematologist kind of gets weirded out about it sometimes because she kind of gives me looks like, why are you so okay with this? Like when she was kind of telling me everything, I was sitting in the chair being like, cool, okay, we'll see. Because like chemo affects everyone so differently. Like I might have not experienced anything. I might have experienced some and not the other. So I'm like, why would I stress when I might not even get all these things? Like legally she has to tell me everything that can happen to me, and I totally get that. But yeah, I don't know, I wasn't stressing. I was like, all right, let's get this show on the road. I want to feel better. Let's go. So yeah, and then basically I have chemo 5 days out of every 3 weeks. My next one's on the 30th. I do get to be at home for them now. My first one wasn't necessarily that smooth, and I'll get into that for the next episode because otherwise it's going to go for too long. But yeah, so I get to do them from home. I have 4 more left. After the next one, I'll get another PET scan because it's halfway. But yeah, right now I'm feeling good. I'm feeling okay. This is my alive week. I definitely haven't hit anything that I can't handle yet. But yeah, I think I'll end my first episode here. Otherwise, I'll just keep going. But I've definitely probably forgotten certain things, and my mum's probably going to listen to this and be like, she forgot this. And I probably have. And if I remember it, I'll bring it up in the next one. But it was a bit of a wild ride to get diagnosed. Cancer was brought up a lot in the wrong context. And a lot of people told me that I was being a bit silly, but I got there and I got diagnosed. So that's the main thing. But yeah, thank you so much for listening to my first episode. Thanks for coming. I did not finish my coffee, so this is definitely going to go into the next episode. But yeah, I mainly did this because if this can help anyone, like obviously, like if anyone can listen and it's a vibe, this is my story, it's my cancer journey. But if anyone could listen to this down the road that has cancer, that just got diagnosed, that's going through it. Like I personally have chosen to not Google anything. I could not even tell you what my cancer is. I chose to not TikTok anything. I've made sure that my For You page is not surrounded by people with cancer. Like I honestly couldn't tell you anything that I'm doing right now. I'm going in so blind and I'm just listening to my nurses and I'm going day by day. Like that is my motto. I'm just taking everything day by day. You tell me what I have to face that day and I'll get through it, but don't tell me about tomorrow. Like, that's how I'm getting through this, and I think it's the best course of action. And I've been told that my mindset is the best mindset to have. So if you want to Google what I have, absolutely go for it. I have chosen not to, but basically, if this can help anyone have more of a positive mindset, help anyone through this, because obviously anyone like that gets diagnosed with cancer, you're going to take it so different. But the one thing you have control over, and this is what I also told my hematologist, is my mindset. My mindset is the one thing I have control over. The rest, I have no idea. I have no control over my body, what's going to happen. So if I can make sure that I have the best mindset to go in with this, I'm going to. So if this can literally just help anyone and make someone feel better about their situation, or make them go like, okay, like I will try, just if this can help one person, then this whole thing is so worth it to me. I definitely am not doing this for selfish reasons. But I just think that my story was a bit interesting. And yeah, if it can literally even not have cancer, have any medical anything, if it can help anyone have more of a positive mindset and make them feel a little bit better, or don't make them feel them make them feel like they're not alone. Because also not many people get it at this age, especially if they're young. I don't know many people, I know people that have had this, but years and years ago. I don't know anyone recently that's had this at my age. It's that's why I think everyone around me is so shocked and so oh my God. I think most people around me are getting worse. They're crying more than me. So if I can make someone feel like they're not alone, and that it's not, rare or anything like that, all of this is so worth it. And if you guys want me to talk about anything, tell me. I'm here to chat. This is my space to chat, to gossip, and I'm doing nothing else because I can't even work. Anyways, thank you so much for listening to my first episode. I hope you listen to the next one. But yeah, thank you so much. Peace out, Girl Scout. Woo!